author of the Wolven trilogy published by Chicken House. I'd like to read a chapter from the second book, which is called the Twilight Circus, and we join Nat and Woody, who are in pursuit of a particularly nasty hive of vampires who have abducted a young girl called Safi. Nat didn't need any special Wolven powers to sense that Woody wasn't exactly jumping with joy at the prospect of meeting whoever lived inside the Black Chateau. In fact, it couldn't have been plainer if the words, "I do not want to go near that creepy, horrible house," had been tattooed across his forehead. By contrast, Woody could tell from Nat's face it was a foregone conclusion. He groaned. "We are going to go and check it out, aren't we?" Nat nodded apologetically. "Well, maybe we better go back and get your dad or JC, suggested Woody. Or, better still, like both of them. Nat thought for a second, then shook his head. "Then it'll take ages to ride back to camp and then back here again. I'll just knock on the door." "Are you mad?" cried Woody. "What are you going to say? Oh, hello, we think you're holding someone prisoner in your creepy, horrible old house." "Oh," said Nat, "I see what you mean. We'll sneak around the back, see if we can work out where the light was coming from." "But," began Woody, but Nat had already slithered from Rudy's saddle and was busy leading him away so that he wouldn't be spotted. Woody helped him secure Rudy's reins to a tree, and then they tiptoed across to the only cover they could find, a dead-looking bunch of shrub. There had been no further sounds or mysterious sparkle of the white light they had seen earlier, and Nat was beginning to think he had imagined it, like the voice they both thought they had heard. "Can you feel anything weird?" he asked Woody. Woody shook his head. "Nope, but there's something funny about how quiet it all seems. Too quiet, you know?" "Yeah," agreed Nat, "like something's blocking us out." "Like what?" asked Woody with a shiver. "Someone or something that doesn't want us here," said Nat grimly. "I don't want to walk up to the front," whispered Woody as they approached the entrance. "There's a sort of archway over there. I bet that leads around the back." The back of the chateau was even less welcoming than the front, and Nat wondered what sort of person would have such a totally miserable garden. There were some hideous statues of armless ladies with twisted, ugly faces, and all the trees looked as though someone had set fire to them. Their blackened branches raised up in cruel, spiky fingers, just like they were waiting to pinch or grab you as you walked by. Worst of all, there was a funny burnt smell about the place, and both boys wrinkled their noses in disgust. Nat caught a strong whiff of old socks and sulphur. "Oh, it smells like farts," said Woody, catching Nat's thoughts and smothering a hysterical giggle. "Shh," hissed Nat. "I think we should..." What's that noise? Out of the silence came a high whining sound, almost like the dentist drill, the type of annoying noise which burrows inside your ear, making the tiny hairs vibrate and then tunnels clean through your eardrum. "I don't like it," moaned Woody. "I think we should go now, please. Nat, please?" Nat felt thoroughly unnerved and was just about to agree when, "Ow!" yelped Woody. "Well, what's the matter?" asked Nat in alarm. Woody started hopping about on one leg and slapping his neck with his hand. "Ow! Ow, Nat! Get it off me! Get it off! Ugh! Hold still," said Nat. "Oh my God." "What?" yelped Woody, spooked even further by Nat's disgusted cry. "It is some sort of insect," said Nat. "Hang on, don't struggle, I'll grab it." Nat had to hop to keep time with Woody. They ended up doing a sort of Irish jig of disgust. Nat really didn't want to touch whatever it was on Woody's neck. It looked like an enormous mosquito. He remembered what his granddad had said about them when they had arrived. 40 different species, 10 of which bite. Okay, great, this monster must be a biter. His face working in disgust, Nat tried to dislodge the insect from Woody's neck. It took a while because his fingers were stiff with cold. It felt horrible, hot almost, and he could feel it actually swell in his fingers as it gorged on Woody's blood. "Hurry up, moaned Woody, get it off!" Nat went in again, his forefinger and thumb poised for a pincer movement. He grasped the thing which was firmly latched onto the side of Woody's neck and pulled with all his might. It came off suddenly with a wet popping noise, and Nat threw it away in disgust. "Oh!" The two boys danced about in horror as a giant insect lay on its back, its loathsome spindly legs waving in the air, its heavy body bloated with Woody's blood. "Oh, that is so disgusting," shuddered Nat. "What is it?" asked Woody, rubbing his neck. "Is it a fly?" Well, I think it's a mosquito, said Nat, walking over to a rock where the thing was still trying to right itself. Look, he said, staring at it in a sort of horrified glee. It's so full of your blood it can't get off its back, let alone fly. Then he stamped on it, and the creature exploded as it split, and the snow was stained with bright red poppies of Woody's blood. Nat glanced at Woody's shocked expression and started to grin. Then they both started to laugh weakly. Woody, with the huge relief of not having the giant bug attached to his neck anymore, and Nat because he had been the one to have to touch its horrible bloated body. When they were done, Woody let Nat examine his neck. The mosquito had bitten him twice, but the tiny puncture wounds were almost gone as Woody's woven skin started to repair itself. Then Woody put his hand on Nat's arm, his head cocked to one side as though he was listening to something. It's not over, said Woody, his eyes flashing topaz. I think that was just a scout. Listen. But Nat could hear it already. This was 1,000 times stronger than the dentist's drill whine of the single giant mosquito. It was the kind of noise a swarm of giant mosquitoes might make. Come on, shouted Woody, pushing Nat in front of him. Quick! As Nat ran, Woody pushed with all his might, combining his will to shift with the sudden overload of powerful adrenaline shooting like liquid fire through his veins. Within seconds, he was shaking off his ruined clothes as they ripped and split from his powerful Wolven body, and he shot past Nat, overtaking him on 4 legs. The boy and the Wolven raced over to Rudy, who was spooked by the noise and trying to pull his bridle off in an effort to get away from the cloud of angry insects. Nat pulled desperately with frozen fingers at the knot, trying to calm the horse, who in his terror was rearing away from him and pulling the knot tighter, while all the time the sound was getting louder. Then, through the angry droning, he heard a distinct voice growl in his brain. Get on! Nat didn't need to be told twice. He vaulted onto Rudy's back like he had been doing it all his life, and saw Woody's sharp white teeth flash as they sheared through the leather reins. Nat nearly fell off backwards with the momentum as the horse suddenly became free from its tether. Then Rudy followed Woody at a breakneck gallop back down the incline. Roughly 30 seconds later, the air behind them appeared thick and black with the 6-legged, winged bloodsuckers. Pushing Rudy faster, Nat was galloping neck and neck with Woody as they fled from the cloud which had formed itself into the uncanny shape of a huge, shadowy bat. From the tiny window in her tower cell, Safi had heard the peculiar whining drone and guessed her last chance of being saved had been cruelly snatched away. The voices she had heard, or thought she had heard, had faded away, and the loss was almost too great for her to bear. She watched the shadows as the sun disappeared and dusk settled in the tower room. A strange calm settled on her as she waited for the vampire to appear, realising that without her cross, she was doomed.
That's great stuff, Di. Lovely reading, loved it a lot, lovely story. So just want to pop the book down and we'll go through to the next room and do the press release, okay? What's that? I can hear.
Oh, it's probably the dog. Do you want him
the dog.
Shot?
Oh yeah, no, that'd be great if you could see him. Yeah, let's have a look up the window. Yeah, let's have a look.
I think he's there. Hang on. Dave. He's probably
Not him?
in there already.
Okay.